David, you remind me of my friend Gary Zukoff. You look just like Gary. My God, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, I understand that the theme for today is idealism. So I wanted to kick this off, and I was so pleased when Reverend Diane asked me to speak on idealism because it fits perfectly with the theme of, actually, I'm going to be able to have a chance to talk about each of my 3 books. The first one, The Art of Being, 101 Ways to Practice Purpose in Your Life. I want to talk to you. First, I'm going to give you the definition of idealism as according to Webster. Listen to this. In a sociological sense, idealism emphasizes how human ideas, especially beliefs and values, shape society. As an ontological doctrine, ontology is the study of being, okay? As an ontological doctrine, idealism goes further, asserting that all entities are composed of mind or spirit. Nothing can be more idealistic than the idea. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a summary of this. I'm going to give you the creation story in a very condensed version by Dennis Merritt Jones. It's a Reader Digest condensed version of the creation story because it speaks to this ideal of spirit and mind as one. You ready? Here it is. You have to listen very closely because it moves really fast. In the beginning, there was only God. Still is. The end. Thank you. Some people say, could you take that just a little deeper for me? So yeah, a little slower. So here's the little more expanded version. In the beginning, there was only God. And God so fully desired to know itself, to experience itself, to express itself. The only way it could do it is to think itself into being, clothe itself as that being, and express in through and as it. Okay? Now here's a metaphorically, think of it this way. In the beginning there's only God, the great no thing becoming the great everything. And so God takes the little globlets of itself and puts these little globlets out in front of itself. These we call them soul beings. And God is saying to these soul beings, I'm going to send you on a mission. Your purpose. You see that little planet down there in that little speck of that galaxy called Earth? Your purpose is to go there and be me. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to give you some tools. First off, you're going to be issued a uniform. It's called a body. Treat it well, because it's the only one you're going to get for this mission. Okay? And it will be returned upon completion. And the other thing you're going to be given is a personality, by means of which you'll learn to express me in my highest essence, and that is unconditional love. Now, the last thing that we hear before we depart into the light is God leans forward and she whispers in our ear, by the way, when you get there, you're going to forget all about this conversation. So here we are, sitting in a spiritual community like this, which is just such an amazing community. And you would not be here this morning. Tell me, can I get a witness? You would not be here this morning if there wasn't something stirring in you, looking to evolve itself through you, to express through you in ever greater, more meaningful and profound ways as you journey this planet. Can I get a witness for that? You would not be here otherwise, right? And this is what I know, is that when living things are on purpose, when they're doing what they came here to do and be, the universe conspires to assist them in creating a life worth living. Take a nice deep breath. What did Socrates say about a life worth living? This is audience participation time. Oh, okay. Socrates says the unexamined life is not worth living. The unexamined life is not worth living. So, would you be willing for the next 15, 20 minutes to go into some self-inquiry with me? I'm big on self-inquiry. That'll be part of our workshop this afternoon. Throughout the ages, every avatar, every teacher has given us the 4 same basic questions to explore the depths of, to understand, to find our purpose and meaning in life. And the 4 questions are this. Who am I? Yeah? Where did I come from? And here's the kicker. What am I doing here? Besides just sucking air, right? And when I leave this planet, where am I going to go? Now, if we've already established the fact that God is all there is, what's the answer to all four of those questions? We are the very essence of it, individualized. We come from the great ethers of that which it is. We're here to experience and to express it. When we leave here, we lay these space suits, these earth suits, these garments of flesh and bone aside, which are what? What is your body? It's nothing more than a carbon-based, biodegradable, disposable vessel that your soul uses for your journey through the planet. And then you return into the ethers from which you came. Yeah? And so here's the summary of all this. If that's the truth, then we're on a journey to a place we never left, which is just the realization of our oneness with that which is the all. Yeah? In other words, you couldn't be any more spiritual if you tried. Spirituality is simply the practicing in the moment of the presence, the awareness of the presence of God. That's what spirituality is. It's practicing the awareness of the presence of God. And that's where mindfulness comes in, and again, what our workshop would be about this afternoon. So, let me get a drink real quick here. Boy, you need a lot of water down here, don't you? Don't we struggle, though, at being spiritual? You realize you couldn't be any more spiritual on your worst day on the planet. Think of mountaintops and peaks and valleys. Is there any less God in the valley experience? And by valley experience, you know, I'm talking about those dark days when you feel disconnected, when there's challenge and grief and all kinds of things going on. In the mountaintop experiences are those, you know, blue skies, green lights, sunshine. Everything is perfect, and it's easy to find our spirituality. Yeah? Is there any less God in the valley than on the mountaintop? Shake your head like this. No. But it's easy to kind of camp out, to get stuck in the valleys, and we pitch a tent and we start to build a story about why we're there and how bad it is, and see if we can enroll as many people as we can to, you know, support us in being stuck in the valley, right? Have you ever seen in a hospital or a doctor's office, the EKG monitor, they hook you up to it and it goes beep, 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 beep. Have you seen that? What does that mean? It's a good sign, yeah? It's a really good sign. What does this mean? Beep. Not such a good sign, right? So we need the contrast of valleys and peaks in order to experience the meaning of life, yeah? And the key is to the practice of mindfulness, which I want to talk to you about, is the practice of remembering to remember, even when you're stuck in the valley experiences, that this too shall pass, and there's another peak just ahead. As my dear friend Dr. Tom Costa used to say, I love this. I wish I could take credit for it for being my own, but it's not. He says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I don't have to stop and build a condo there." But that's oftentimes what we do, isn't it? Yeah, that's oftentimes what we do. Have you noticed that you spent the first 20, 30, maybe 40 years of your life becoming very proficient at doing? Do. You get born, you start getting education, you get out of school, your mind is out in front of you accomplishing goals to where you're going to go, yeah? You know, you get married, you get the children, you find the right and perfect home, the right and perfect job, and one day you arrive down the road at purpose when it's all completed. But we never have been taught, perhaps until we arrived at a church like this, how to be. Been taught really good how to do. Do. But not so well at how to be. Here's doing. Here's being. And it's the mindfulness practice of merging our being with our doing where we get this. Yeah? So what I've come up with is 3 simple questions that you can use on a daily basis as a litmus test to see how well you're doing at incorporating your being into your doing. You ready? Here's the first question. Am I having fun every day? Can I go witness for fun? Woo! I get a sense that this is a great playful community and that you get what fun's about. Here's a question. Where are you when you're having fun? I asked this question. I was to give this talk in Hawaii a while back, and I asked that question. Where are you when you're having fun? And some guy in the back of the room says, "We're at the beach, dude." It's true. Yeah, and that's partially true. You could be at the beach, but where are you in time? You are in the present moment, yeah? When you're having fun, your mind isn't separated from your body. You're in the experience of the moment, yeah? And when we're having fun, we become the vessel for one of the highest vibrations of God in expression, and that is joy. Joy. But you have to be present in the moment to experience it. Too often, though, where are our minds? You notice your body's always in the present moment. It can't be any place else, yeah? But where are our minds a lot of the time? They're way out in front of us, or sometimes behind us, dragging the past behind us, but oftentimes in front of us. This is a true story to give an example of how finding joy in the moment can be profound. I was on a flight from Burbank, California, to Las Vegas to do a seminar and talk. And this is actually a true story. It's in The Art of Being. Was just arriving over Las Vegas, and the pilot comes on the intercom, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some good news. We've arrived over Las Vegas. The bad news is they've closed down all of the runways because we're going to be encountering high desert winds, which is not unusual out there. So please buckle your seatbelts." I love the quote that you had up there earlier about buckling your spiritual seatbelt, because it's going to get rough, and we'll get land as soon as they will let us in, because they closed down all the runways. So about a half hour later, the plane is doing this. Woo! Boom! Have you ever been on an airplane that hit those air pockets? They're like, woo! Woo! It was like a roller coaster, yeah? About 40 minutes circling overhead. The plane is very still, and everybody's white-knuckling it. And it's doing this, woo, woo, woo. And of course, the inevitable happened. Someone, how do I say this? They fully utilized their air sickness container device, okay? They tossed their cookies, in other words, which only inspired others to be equally as expressive with their dissatisfaction of what was going on in the moment. It was not a very pleasant place to be. The plane's doing this, boom, boom, up and down, up and down. The guy next to me was pale, just pale white. He was, and the plane does this violent drop in the rise, and all of a sudden I hear this whee coming up from the front of the cabin. And I thought to myself, what fool doesn't know that this is not a pleasant experience? And the plane continues to rip up and down, and again this voice, whee! And I look up about 8 rows ahead on the left-hand side, and there's a young woman holding a toddler in her arms. And every time the plane would do this violent up and down, this little guy would throw his arms up in the air and go, whee! Do that with me, come on. Whee! One more time, be present with it, the joy of it. Whee! Where are you right now? You're here. You're not thinking about where you're going to go for lunch, or what the doctor said, or what he or she did. You're present in the moment. I looked at this little guy and I thought, what does he know that I don't? Because I want some of that. And then I realized, it's not what he knew. It's what he did not know. He was not taught to fear the ride. And therein lies the metaphor for life. Our bodies, when things get tight, when things get low, we get in those valley experiences, our minds go way out in front of us. See, everybody else on the airplane, their mind was already on the ground. Yeah? Well, their bodies were on the airplane. Their mind was on the ground. No, this little guy, he was one with the experience. You get it? There's the metaphor. How's the ride of your life going when it gets bumpy? Can you stay conscious and present in the moment and seek between the cracks and crevices the opportunity to experience joy? Because it is there, irrespective of what is going on. Take a deep breath. The second question you can ask yourself on a daily basis is this: am I growing? Am I growing every day? You know, this is very important. Pay attention to this question, because this is vital to your well-being and your future, okay? In Dr. Ernest Holmes talks about this thing called the universe, or the creative divine urge. And he refers to it as this energy that moves through all living things that's pushing out all the time. Look at your fingernails. Look at your hair. Look at all the amazing things out here in nature. If that energy could talk, it would say, I've got to be more tomorrow than I was yesterday. I'm pushing out through every living thing. And he then gave us the complement of that, or the polar opposite. Now, this is where you need to take another breath. It's called the universal imperative. Grow or die. Living things that don't grow, the life force rescinds and they begin to die. I'm not talking just about our physical bodies. I'm talking about the body of our relationships. What we do in the world for work, what we do in the world in our daily lives. Are we growing? Are we adding content? Are we adding substance to the nature of our being on a daily basis? If your relationships are not growing, they're slowly withering up. If your spiritual community does not grow, it will wither. If your career does not continue to expand and grow, it will slowly, life force will implode on it and it'll cave in. Grow or die. And this is such a simple concept here's a metaphor for it. Have you ever seen a potted plant that was root bound? What's going on with a potted plant that is root bound? It's run out of space to grow, and the roots are turning in on themselves, yeah? And they're turning on themselves, and pretty soon the roots will choke the life force out of that plant, and the plant will die. Slowly, it'll wither up and die, yeah? But what happens if you would take that same plant, that root-bound plant, and put it in a much larger pot or a container? What would happen? The roots would then turn outward again, yeah? And the life force would surge through that plant because it has found its purpose again, to be a plant. Now, I love metaphor, so here it is. Folks, some of us need to be repotted. I see it often in relationship counseling. I see it in career counseling. I do mentoring with people, and I see where they're stuck. And the life force begins to escape them. And so when my wife and I, we've decided to repot ourselves in Florida. We live in Los Angeles. We're in Florida, St. Pete, this area, looking at homes right now. That's one of the reasons we came down here. And you know what? Thank you. We have no idea where we're going to end up and what it's going to look like. We just know that we're done where we are. We're stuck in a pot there. And we have to get into a new growing environment where she says she's ready for the next adventure. Okay, well, I'll go with that. You know, but it's about continuing to grow. And here's the other one thing that if you think you can grow from the field with what you already know, you're mistaken. You have to come to the edge of what you know, the edge of your box of what you think you know, and step into the unknown. That is where growth happens. Because if you think you can grow from within the field of what you already know, you're just going to create another version of what you already know. It may look a little different, but it's still the same thing. Which is how the second book, The Art of Uncertainty, came to be, which is really guiding people to come to the edge of the unknown and learn to lean over with faith and trust, knowing there's something within them that knows how to get them to what is next. Sometimes what keeps us stuck in the box is the labels that we were born with. How many of us are living up to or down to the labels that have been put on us all of our lives? Smart, dumb, tall, short, white, black, green, yellow, male, female, gay, straight, bi. It doesn't matter. The labels that keep us stuck are tremendously restricting. So when we start to peel away the labels, what do we find? We find the authentic self. We find the self that we were the moment we got here. And we begin to redefine ourselves based on new ideas. But we have to come to the edge of what we know and be willing to peel away those labels. Maybe the question we have to ask ourselves is not who am I, but who am I not? Maybe I'm not who my mother or my old minister or my school teacher says I was. Maybe I'm far, far more than that. Maybe I am truly the individuation of God. that has unlimited potential. Here's the third question you can ask yourself. Am I lifting others daily? Am I in my process, am I serving others? Am I lifting others in my daily life? Am I serving others? Now this can be, it doesn't mean you have to go out and find a cure for a disease. Serving others can be as simple as, for me, one of the ways that I serve others when I take my daily walks on the road, I look for nails and broken glass and I pick them up. That's good tire karma, by the way. I've never had a flat tire. It's true. Here's another example of how you can serve others. Certainly you could do that in a community like this. You become an usher or a greeter or however else you can bring the gift of yourself to your community. But what about just standing in the line at the grocery store? And you're so conscious and present in the moment that you're sensing that the person in front of you or back of you is having a really bad day. Maybe it's something they're saying or just the energy that is flowing from them. And you're conscious enough to offer a word of encouragement in that moment. That is serving others in ways that you may not even imagine. Yeah? And then what happens when we begin to consciously spiritualize our serving others? In the East, that would be called seva. Selfless service dedicated to God. And when we can begin to consciously bring the awareness of God's presence into our relationships, when we're serving others, what happens? If there's only one of us here, what happens? We're not only serving the other, who else are we serving? Ourselves, and even more than that, the divine. We know there's one of us here, right? There's only one of us here. Can I get a witness? Somebody said God's a great prankster because he does it all with mirrors. So here's the question. May I use you as my mirror this morning? Thank you. If everyone, in my experience, is some aspect or reflection of me, and I look into you, not at you, but I look into you, beyond all the labels that you've stuck on yourself and society has stuck on you, and I see, oh, this is God looking back at me. How could I ever defile you, degrade you, humiliate you, be biased against you? How can I do anything but hold you in the highest stead? Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. Thank you. Thank you. So, Richard Bach, you're here on purpose. You get that? And your purpose will not be found tomorrow or next week or the next week after. It's found now. Richard Bach, in his great book Illusion, says, here's a test to know if your mission on planet Earth is completed. If you're alive, it's not. So seek ways to have fun, be the vessel for joy on a daily basis. Seek ways to grow. I bet you this spiritual community offers all kinds of classes and opportunities to continue to feed yourself and grow. And seek ways to lift others. Here's the bottom line. When you come to the end of your experience on this planet and you knock on heaven's door, which is a metaphor, of course, heaven or hell are where? They're one thought away, right? But you'll be asked two questions before you'll be allowed to move into what your next level of experience and expression as a soul being is. And here's the questions. The first question is, did you love well? Did you love well? And the second question is the planet a better place today than it was the day you were born? Because you were here. And if you could say yes to both of those questions, you will know that you have been the one, literally the one, who has stepped through the portal of being. And you have been the one who has brought heaven to earth. That is what living on purpose is. That is the ideal life. Merge your being with your doing, which is what we're going to explore in our workshop this afternoon. Thanks so much for allowing me to be here today. You are loved. Namaste.